5 years ago, I found myself on my bathroom floor in despair, convinced that I was crazy, that I was broken, that I was mental. And in my darkest hours, I really did struggle to see a way forward. What changed the trajectory of my life was not a trip to the doctors. It wasn't a prescription. It was something much more human than that. And it started with one word. I'm here today to explain how one single change in language can open your mind, change your perspective, and ignite potential. Not just for you, your family, your friends, for our society. I no longer use the term mental health. Instead, I choose to use mind well-being. I wonder if you will leave here today choosing to do the same. I have a question. Who here today has experienced or knows somebody who has struggled with their mental health? Can I see a show of hands? Look around. And with those raised hands, please take a second to consider the first word that comes to mind when you hear the word mental. For me, it isn't positive. It isn't even neutral. It is enveloped in darkness and signifies something that is broken beyond repair. When I was struggling, I was frantic. I found myself Googling symptoms and reaching out to charities for support. In my relentless pursuit for answers and solutions, I stumbled across the logo for Mind. The curved swirl lines gently enveloping into the word mind struck something deep within me. It was kind. It was gentle. It offered compassion. It sparked curiosity. For the first time in a really long time, I could breathe. That moment was pivotal. It sparked the creation of Mind Wellbeing, a movement to flip the script on mental health. Now, Mind and Young Minds are two of the UK's leading charities, helping thousands of people on a daily basis. Now imagine they were called something different. Mental. Young people's mental health. It feels different, doesn't it? I wonder, would as many people engage with those charities if they were named that way? Probably not. I know I wouldn't have. Words are powerful. A word such as mental, repeated, can create a series of tiny paper cuts that over time envelop into a much bigger wound that is harder to heal. As human beings, we rely on language to cultivate our world around us. The words that we choose to use are often a reflection of the deepest beliefs we have about ourselves, about others, and the environment that we live in. Billions of people across the world rely on the written word of sacred scriptures, varying across different religions. These words provide them with foundational beliefs and ways of navigating day-to-day life. Faith has become part of my journey, and more recently I've begun to attend church and have found significant strength in reading the stories contained within the Holy Bible. Stories of human struggle, hope, faith, redemption. What I've found really interesting is amongst these hundreds of stories, the word mental never appears. Could it be that beneath today's mental health crisis lies a much greater but simpler need? A need for hope, a need for faith, for connection and community. Now, the word mental at its very origin was neutral. It simply referred to of the mind and was a reference to intellect and thought. It wasn't until the late 19th and early 20th centuries, with the rise of psychiatry, that it took a much darker tone. It's now associated with institutionalization, social exclusion, and illness. Words are powerful. They can be used as wands that heal us. Let's choose words that ignite the mind, not that stifle it. Let's choose words that move us away from pain and struggle to potential and flourishing. Now, along my journey of rediscovering who I am, I found myself called to service and volunteering at a local school in a challenged community. Every child I encountered in that school were brilliant. Creative, imaginative, funny, intelligent in their own unique way. However, many were crippled with fear, worry, shame and expectation, not just of themselves, but the world around them, far beyond their years. Witnessing this stifled potential on a daily basis, alongside an innate inability for them to communicate, especially from a place of truth, led me to do some research. I asked children as young as 7, what comes to mind when you hear the word mental? The top 4 answers: crazy, broken, nutter, and scary. However, when I asked the same question, but with the word mind, everything changed. Wonder, noticing, imagination, curiosity, and well-being. Alongside this one-liner from a cheeky chap right at the back of the class. Well, miss, we've all got one. And that's right. The word mind unites us, and by definition means remembrance and memory. The word well-being also has connotations associated with community. After all, we are all interconnected beings. The truth is, we aren't breaking a stigma around mental health. We're raising awareness that there's a problem. And then we're making human beings feel like they are the problem, rather than dealing with the issue at its seed level and making prevention the absolute priority. Now, when I first started to talk about my idea for mind well-being with my friends and family, I must admit I got the odd eye roll. Here she goes again, another one of her ideas. I do have many, but this one feels a little bit different. But then, without doubt, anyone who I've encountered with this idea, I get like a puzzled pause. well, yeah, this makes complete sense. Why is this not something that we do already? Then comes the caveat. But the term mental health's just too far ingrained. We couldn't possibly change it. History tells us something very different, and a story of language transformation very close to my heart. My nephew has cerebral palsy. He is non-verbal and faces daily challenges that most of us can't imagine. He's here today. Hi, Reese. And he is the kindest, most resilient, strongest, compassionate souls that I know. Not only that, he has flourished, both socially and in the workplace. You might be wondering, Reese sounds great, and he is, but what's he got to do with this idea? In 1994, the Spastic Society changed its name to Scope. Why did they do this? Because the term spastic, once a medical term, had evolved into one of playground abuse, isolating thousands and making them incredibly insecure. This went way beyond a branding decision. It was a step towards dignity, respect, and inclusion for thousands of people. This wasn't just eliminating a word. It was creating an environment that allowed people like my nephew to flourish from. It worked. Language shifted and society shifted with it. So when people ask me, but Hannah, will you ever change the term mental health? I say, why not? We've done it before, we can do it again. And that is the pure magic of this idea. We hold the power. Every second, every minute, every hour of every day, we choose the words that we bring into the world. At our very first TEDx rehearsal, my fellow speakers each independently chose to remove the word mental from their scripts and substitute it for the word mind. That's how powerful this change is. That's how powerful our words are. So let's make waves of change together. Let's change our words and change our world. The next time you go to use the term mental health, pause. Think about whoever you lifted your hand for earlier. Choose something different. Choose something kinder. Choose mind well-being. Thank you.